Hello, and welcome to the Coffee and Scream podcast. I am Jess, and with me is my co-host Piper. Hi, Piper.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, thank you.
Good. We also have with us our producer, Chris.
Hey, what's going on?
And tonight we thought we would talk about ghosts. You know, we don't want to do true crime every week. You know, I feel like it's been done a lot. And also, we like all things spooky.
Exactly.
So, let's talk some ghosts. Have you been a believer your entire life?
I have.
You have? Me too.
I feel like you don't just die and then, like, your soul doesn't have a next chapter. It's like...
No, they have to go somewhere.
Yeah, like you need to go somewhere.
Yeah. But I remember like even like being like a little kid and like Unsolved Mysteries. Like I only wanted to watch like the ghost episodes because they were extra spooky.
Like some of my favorite Nancy Drew books like were about ghost stories. Like there was this one, she was investigating this like haunted ranch or something. I forget what it was called, but it was just like
Nancy.
That one intrigued me so much.
Yeah. What about you, Chris?
Ghost?
Yeah. Do you believe in ghosts?
You're a skeptic?
Well, no. I mean, I've had my fair share of run-ins, but it's been a while, especially in my older age. It's been a while since I've seen anything spooky, but then again, I haven't, gone out of my way to find it. But I'm sure if I did, what is it? Seek and ye shall find.
Yep.
So, have you, Piper, ever had a ghostly experience?
I feel like yes, a couple times. Like when there was one time when I was a kid, I was like playing video games on the computer and my dog Haley passed away like 2 years before this. And she was a black lab. And out of the corner of my eye, I see this like black tail around the corner. And we didn't have a new dog yet or anything, and it was very obvious like tail shape, like it was like triangular, like the end of a tail. And I was just like, oh my god, like that was Haley. And
So you saw a ghost dog?
Yes, I feel like I did.
Tell you about, I have a similar
So was it like low
situation.
to the ground kind of thing?
It was like I just saw the end of her tail, but like it was still, I was like, holy fucking shit, like I saw like my dog.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and you can recognize it, right?
Yeah.
It's like how you can recognize the sound of someone's keys. Sometimes you just know.
Yeah. Or like when someone's like walking up the stairs at home and you know who it is based on like the footfalls and like how heavy they're stomping or something. Like,
so you think you saw a dog? Do you have any more run-ins?
There was this one time I was like literally the only one up in my house and we have a piano downstairs and I heard it go off and no one else in my house was either home or downstairs to play it.
Was it just like one key or was it like a little tune?
It was like a little tune.
No.
Yeah. And
no.
And so the way I knew it wasn't my brother was because I heard his video games going off. Like he was playing video games. My mom and my stepdad asleep, like out of the question.
Right.
My sister was sleeping over her friend's house and my stepsister was working a night shift and she wasn't home yet. So I was just like, no one else. Because my stepbrother was like completely moved out at this time. And my dogs are upstairs with my parents sleeping. Like they're not allowed to roam the house at night. So I was just like, no one is down there.
And it was just a quick little like do 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 do.
Can you sing the melody for us?
Like, do you know? Yeah.
It was like da, 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 da.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No.
It's so fun. Oh my god.
It was like
no.
I was so
Fuck that, dude.
I was like, who the fuck is downstairs? I was like, is someone breaking into my house? And then I was
Just to like tickle the ivories.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just wanted to say it. Oh.
I was like, who
That too.
is that? And then like,
You might want to have this serviced.
yeah. And then me like growing up
play
the way I
chopsticks.
am and like
heart and soul. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And like me growing up in like the cynical generation that I did that I am growing up in, and I did grow up in, I was just like sitting in my room, kind of like, ew. Like, all right.
I'm like, Mommy, I'm coming to sleep with you.
Old times.
Yeah. It's like, I'm
Christmas
scared.
morning.
Yeah, I froed up.
I throwed up.
I froed up.
Why is it always throwed up?
I don't know. Anything else? Did you have any other like spooky stuff happen?
Not personally, but my dad has a couple stories that he's told me. He was a 911 dispatcher for like up north in Jersey. I can't exactly remember where. But he had a lot of calls. Like there was just like one call, this lady, she was like, there's like this group of men walking through my backyard and they're in like Revolutionary War like era clothing. Like, is there a reenactment going on? Like, is there like something like is there like a reenactment going on or something?
Okay.
It has to do with that.
And my dad was like, no, there's no like reenactments going on in the county right now. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. So the police obviously still went out because they kind of have to. It's like their job to like check up on that and everything. Yeah. But they like went out there and nothing was there. And it just, so this lady saw little Revolutionary ghost soldiers just walking through her backyard, like just vibing.
Creepy shit.
Yeah.
Do you want me to cut in real quick and tell?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to do with this.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Okay,
Please.
I'll borrow your mic.
Yeah.
Please.
So my dad told me this story, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry if you have coffee breath.
I could deal with it.
So my dad told me this story, and he's a hunter, right? And around like 3 in the morning, he would go out to the tree stand and get up in the trees before the deer would wake up and they would feed on the baited sites.
Uh-huh.
And he said he was up there and the sun was starting to come up and he saw someone walking the trail, and so he was making enough noise to where my dad was pretty much like, you just fucked it up for me because now you're walking through the trail and now the deer have been scared away that if they were going to the site, yada yada. So he starts yelling at him like pretty much like, yo dude, like this is like a closed site, what are you doing? He says the guy doesn't answer. And he says when he passes by the trail in the tree stand, he says he sees the guy and he's wearing like really old-fashioned clothes, like almost like revolutionary style shit. Mm-hmm. And he says he let him pass and he never responded to him, so he got all freaked out and left the tree and went back to his truck because it was pointless to stay there now because he had made a lot of noise and ruined it. Said didn't see the guy in the trail and never. I don't think he hunted on that plot again. It freaked him out.
That's no.
That is
Just,
like,
and he's up in a tree.
Is that kind of like local to where we are? Like you don't have to say exactly where.
Definitely like the Pine Barrens, like out on like 70, like deep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the Jersey Devil's playing with him.
Oh well, one day,
yeah,
yes.
dude,
No,
yes,
we are gonna do a
Skinwalker
full Jersey Devil episode.
Mother
because
Leeds and her
the
13th
ruins like are
child.
still there in the woods.
Yeah.
Like you can still like the foundation of the house is still there.
Well, I used to live like 5 minutes away from Jersey's most haunted road, which is Clinton Road.
I've been there, but yes, we will definitely have to.
Once.
We will go there.
We'll
one
do
day.
a full episode on them.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. For me, like with ghost stories, like I have a few from when I was young, and like I know my mom has some. I grew up in a town called Jackson, and the house that I grew up in was for sure haunted. But it was my great grandparents. They built the house. Actually, the road that the house is on, my great grandfather named the road. So after they were super old, they gifted the house to my nanny and pop-up. And I remember when my great grandmother was still alive, she was in an upstairs bedroom, and my uncle would take food up to her and all this stuff, and I would go with him. I was probably about like 3 or 4, so I'd go up there with him and I would like peek in on her and stuff. And I remember like when she died, it was a few weeks later, my grandmother was babysitting me, and she was probably on the phone with like one of her sisters or something, like she always was. And I went upstairs because I was bored and I was just like, just felt like looking around, doing whatever. And I remember going into that bedroom because I, haven't been there in a while, and I wanted to see, and I saw an old woman, like, sitting in a chair in the room, and my grandmother, she heard, like, this blood-curdling scream, she said that I basically, like, jumped down the stairs, and I was like, Nanny, that old lady was staring at me.
That's like the scene in Psycho when it's revealed that, like, Norman's mother's, like, skeleton is just sitting in the chair in the basement.
Yeah, but I was like, and she's like, the hair on the back of my neck stood up. She's like, you were way too young to, like, make that up.
I was going to say that.
She goes, and the fear in your face and your voice and everything. She's like, you were horrified.
I was going to say that because honestly, the ghost stories that come from children.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I have more.
I feel like they're more valid because children aren't really that developed at that point to,
they say, like, children
lie.
But they also say, like, they say, children, pregnant women, anyone who's closer to the beginning stages of life are automatically more in tune to, like, paranormal.
Like the movie The Sixth Sense.
Yeah. So another thing that happened there was when I would sleep, like, when I would be asleep on the couch, and this is probably about, like, around, like, 10 years old or so, like, I'd be laying there sleeping, and I could hear someone walking up and down the stairs at nighttime. Up and down the stairs. And then sometimes, like, during the day, I'd be downstairs, and
is it, like, heavy footsteps or,
yeah,
like...
it was definitely someone walking. Like, it was, like, unmistakable.
Like, it was, like...
No, it was, like...
wood?
It was, like...
wood creak or, like...
No, it was carpet on the stairs. But it was doom, 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 doom. And then sometimes, like, during the day, one of the upstairs bedroom doors would just slam shut.
That's wild.
And, like, it was, and, like, over the course of my family's history, like, I know, like, my uncle and, like, his wife moved back there for a little bit and stuff, and she's even said that when my cousin was a baby, that she woke up in the middle of the night to feed her, to get a bottle and stuff, and there was a figure. She goes, I just saw the outline of a person standing over the crib. And it's just...
Like, come on.
No, and then she's like, I kind of, like, I was so tired, I just went downstairs, made the bottle, and I wasn't really thinking about it. She's like, and all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, that's what I saw. Like, it was just, like, there's been so many instances like that in that house that I wonder if the people who live there now experience any of it. And the light just flickered.
Come on. We're not even kidding over here. I know this is audio, but yeah, the lights flickered.
They've been flickering all night too.
I know. It's wild. At my new house, when I bought the house in 2010, there was only one previous owner, and he actually died in the house he was 100 years old and, like, and then 2 weeks, 100 years old and 2 weeks old, whatever. Anyhow, so
same shit.
One Dalmatians.
Yes. Yes. So, I've actually met his family. Like, his 2 kids have visited and just to see what the house looks like. And I'm like, oh, come on in. Like, oh, my God, you've done so much with it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, he'd always say, like, the son would always be like, oh, my dad would be so excited that a family lives here and that there's kids here. And before we moved in, I was like, I wanted to sand the cabinets and I wanted to repaint things. So I was sanding the cabinets and repainting and doing stuff. And I heard the sound of someone go, and I like turned and I looked and there was no one there. And
like, he's like, you're really gonna use this color?
No, kind of like,
you're really gonna use
or kind of like, you're changing things, but like, because they always say that also amps up activity.
Changing shit.
Yes.
I'd be like, no.
No, but like after that, nothing. So I think he
grew on him.
Oh yeah. I think he's like, you know what? She's not so bad.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep her. She's cool. No problems after that. The house where we are recording right now is over 100 years old. It belongs to my dad and my stepmom, who's like my bonus mom. This house I have had experiences in, and they have too, but I want them to come on one day and share their own stories, because who's going to tell it better than the people it happened to? My dad also has like stories from like when he was in the Navy. There was definitely some hauntings going on.
Dude, that's like a haunted sailor.
A haunted? No, but
Can you
that's
imagine
not
that,
like
like a ghost Navy man.
Lakehurst
Hawk.
Lakehurst base
Yeah.
is notoriously haunted. Like that is where the Hindenburg blew up.
Oh yeah.
That is like, it's insane, and like I want them to tell those stories. So one day we absolutely will have them on. They can tell, their experiences here in this house, and about their past and
Well,
stuff like that.
actually, I think it was either my dad or my mom. They have a guardian angel story.
Those are also really cool.
I think it was either one of them. I can't remember what parent it happened to, but they were about to get in a car accident, and they swear to this day that their guardian angel lifted up their car and put their car in to safety. They swear to this day.
Who is this?
Either one of my parents. I can't remember which parent told me the story.
That's insane though. Like they even when you're full of adrenaline.
Yeah,
they see,
they said they said they saw the angel cherub wings, the wings that are always portrayed with the baby angels and everything in biblical art. They saw those wings.
That is insane though.
Right.
People see some crazy ass shit. And, think about even caveman, the first one to see fire and it went out.
Right.
And how do you tell people? What do you say? Go 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 go.
Yeah.
Go 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 go.
I don't know.
Also, this rain is so
yeah,
aesthetic.
it is raining right now, and it is so cozy.
I
and
know.
Just oh, so
We
nice.
might hear it. I'll have to see when
And our first episode, it was thunderstorming. So
that is true. It's becoming a theme.
honestly,
Oh
that
my
would be
God,
so
is
good
it
for
us? Are we manifesting?
I
really
hope
me.
so.
Oh my God. No, but I've loved ghosts my entire life. I've always loved all that creepy shit.
And what got you guys into ghosts? What do you think? Where did it start?
I don't know.
When you were young, seeing
Ever
shit?
since, yeah,
And then movies.
Movies, yeah, I think Unsolved Mysteries, I think actually was where it really kicked off for me. And the one story, there was two stories that stick out to me. One is I remember watching it and I was afraid to go this upstairs into my grandparents' house after seeing this because I was I'm scared. It was the story of Grace Brown, which she also deserves her own story, her own episode, because it happened up in I don't.
Grace Brown.
I don't want to give too much away because I want to do it one day.
I know Grace Budd.
Okay, yeah, that is way different, buddy.
Okay. But Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But Grace Brown, basically in this episode, I don't want, I won't talk about her crime too much or, what was done to her. But these people were staying at this lake house thing, and all of a sudden this woman's spirit
Friday the 13th vibes
on the lake, and she was and the visuals.
On the lake.
But on the visuals of it is so early 90s and not great, but
Yeah.
it scared the shit out of me. And then I was yeah. And the other one was Resurrection Mary. Do you guys know that story? No. Well, it's about a young girl is at a dance hall kind of thing, and a guy's oh, come on, having a great time with her. He's I'll take you home. Takes her home. And he can't stop thinking about her, blah, blah, blah. He goes back a few days later, and someone's who? It's oh, a young girl. I dropped her off here. I think her name was Mary. He's Mary's been dead for over 30 years. That kind of scary.
No,
and
you.
so she has there's sightings of this girl leaving Resurrection Cemetery in Chicago. I think it's and running across the street. It's so scary.
No,
and I'm
you.
yeah, no.
for me, it was growing up in the generation that I did, and being the first generation that had unrestricted internet access.
Yes.
I would watch those
right off the bat.
I would watch those top 10 ghost sighting videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Do you
and,
remember America's Most Haunted? When
Yes.
Linda Blair would host
Yes.
it, and they would go through the top haunted places. And then you also were around when Ghost Hunters and all that stuff came out.
And me and my dad would sit down and watch shows like Ancient Aliens and Finding Bigfoot and all that
Yeah,
shit.
oh,
And and me and my dad ate that fucking shit up. We're also huge sci-fi nerds, so he introduced me to Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, all that shit. So it's just we're like insane when it comes to that stuff.
No,
honestly,
when
like
I discovered Ghost Hunters, it was like in 2004, 2005, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, finally a show for me.
And, like-
and it was a pretty good, like, high budget show. It was,
I liked that one a lot, and then everyone else kind of like Ghost Adventures started, which like I don't want to alienate people if they really really like it.
you know, like Jack Baggins, bro.
It's just like he's possessed every time,
And also-
every
His
time,
haircut's possessed.
every single time. And it's just like that doesn't happen that often. Like, what do you?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm sure he's
like you're
great.
not gonna get possessed in every haunted place you go to.
Yeah.
Like that. Like
No, of course not. And like, and it
'cause-
just also makes you think like
Right.
that it's not like a credible thing, and
Right.
that it's just all for show and just
Yeah.
like, trying to be theatrical and all that. It's like, be honest. Like, say you went to some place and be like, you know what? There's nothing here.
right.
Yeah, like they'd
Then-
be smart because they
Then
would
I'd be
show,
like, okay, good.
even if they don't see anything and the crew is still entertaining enough, then who cares?
And like
You
the
know,
way I feel like
be still honest.
and the way I feel like ghosts are like it's kind of like a volcano. Like sometimes you get something, sometimes you don't. Like they lie like
Sure,
they lie dormant.
They're not gonna. Yeah, they're not
Right.
gonna work on your
Right.
time. Like,
Because actually, I feel like they pick up on vibes a lot more because they're dead and they're on the other fucking side.
like one of
I
the.
don't
So
know
it's
how that
just
energy shit works,
so they're
but
probably like, this guy's gonna try to profit off of us. We're not gonna do anything. We're just gonna chill out.
I don't really watch those shows too much anymore. Like, I will if I'm like, I want to, just be entertained for a little bit of time. One of the shows I do love, though, is Kindred Spirits. Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
It's like a spin-off. It's like Amy and Adam from Ghost Hunters, but they're helping families. Like, if a family's house is haunted, like, and the kids are scared, so if they're getting down to the bottom of what's there, why it's happening, and it's more comforting.
Well-
or like, yeah.
I was actually named after like a fictional witch, Piper Halliwell from Charmed. That's that's how I got my name from the '90s version.
I remember that.
And that was another thing that like kickstarted my whole like fascination for like spirits
Yeah.
and everything, because I watched that show and I was just like, this ghost shit is like interesting, because they would have episodes where like they would talk to their like dead ancestors who were also
Yeah.
witches and everything.
My dad loved that show.
And-
Out of all shows,
What?
Charmed.
Of course you did.
He's so weird. His tastes. But I'm listening.
And it was like so crazy, and then like also like
They seem
those stupid those like stupid edited jump scare videos.
I hate those
where it's just
so
like,
much.
yeah,
I get like angry.
like I watched so many of those as the kid, like the one where the car's driving through the mountains and
I
then you
hate-
get jump scared by that zombie.
The
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, and then I played the Scary Maze game one time. The girl from the fucking Exorcist was the jump scare.
Yep.
It scared the shit out of me. I couldn't use the bathroom for a week straight by myself.
No, I hate them, and I hate when it's done to me, because I will get like really angry and like I'll like be like, get the fuck away.
Well,
from
there
me.
was
Like,
this
I can't,
popular
like-
video.
But however, I have done them to my kids because like I'm just
funny
like
it's not you.
it's funny when it's not me, and like my kids will even tell you like I've like jumped out and scared them from like in the house like multiple times.
Well, my brother does this
it's
thing
fun.
where he like turns out the lights, and then he like gets on his hands and knees like the girl from the fucking Exorcist, and he like crab walks towards me at fast speeds.
I'd kick him in the
and
face
it
so
scares
hard.
the shit out of me. I scream bloody murder every time he does it. I hate him for it.
Dude, did you see the commercial for the new Insidious?
No.
Dude, there's like a scene where the guy's going in to get an MRI, and like the lights go out and the MRI stops. He's like, "Hello," and he's in a dark room, a dark hospital room,
Like a tube.
in a tube in the dark.
Yeah.
And then there's something crawls, like you can see something crawling through what looks to be now a long tunnel that he's stuck in.
Oh
And something's
god.
crawling toward him, and I was like, I've never seen that shit before. That's pretty fucking cool.
I've only seen the first one.
Really?
Yeah. After that, I was like,
There's this
kinda
You gotta
one.
watch Malignant. Shouts out to.
I've
go
never
watch-
seen that.
Dude, I showed Rib a clip. He's like, we gotta watch this.
what is it about?
So it's pretty much about this woman who is having like nosebleeds, and she wakes up like covered in blood sometimes, and she doesn't understand what's going on, right? And so she starts going to like a doctor and stuff, and he keeps it under wraps as to, like what's really wrong with her. And I don't want to give anything away, but let's just say at night, something takes her over, and she's now like a backwards woman. Something's like living behind her, essentially.
Ew.
I had a nosebleed 2 days
and
ago. That better not happen to me.
Dude, I'll tell you what, bro. Like the choreography in that movie is almost like slightly like a kung fu movie because the movements to have almost like a backwards woman like killing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never
she's walking full on backwards.
But even like the way the arms operate, you just gotta see it. I'll have to show you guys a clip before we get out of here. But watch *Malignant*. It's James Wan. No one talked about it.
And also
that's
like
one of his best movies. It's like my favorite movie he's done.
And also like I grew up like being fascinated with like urban legends and everything, and a lot of them come out of like Korea and like the Asian countries,
like Bloody Mary and all that stuff.
Like Bloody Mary, like that was the whole fucking thing when I was in elementary school. Like if you go to the bathroom and say Bloody Mary in the mirror 3 times, she'll pop up and kill you and everything you love.
It's been Bloody Mary's been around. I remember being in the bathroom with like friends. We only had the guts to do it twice.
And we were so scared of it. We were so scared of it as kids that my dad literally went to the bathroom and did it to prove that it wasn't real. like he was just like, I am tired of these kids at school scaring my children, and then he like literally marched into the bathroom
and proved it to you
and proved that it wasn't real.
Yeah, your dad's a real one. That's good.
He is the top goat.
Top goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but dude,
I you know what? I would do that for my kids. I would do that for my kids.
And there's this one like fake jump scare video.
Then you know what? Then they know. Like, then they know. Like, don't do it.
Either way, they're gonna find out.
Either way, you fuck around, you find out.
There's, like,
either you find out it's real or you won't.
I've heard that like supposedly like the descriptions of her like said that she looked like she was a painting on the mirror, and I was like,
well, her whole legend stems from.
Like, oh my god!
Guys, should we go in the bathroom right now and do it?
Yeah, bring the
we bring everything in, like,
just in case anything happens.
Well, me being the historian that I am, not to toot my own horn, but like, the legend actually comes from the queen that had like a lot of problems with like periods and menstrual cycles.
I was seriously gonna ask that.
Where it's from?
And like she was like having problems with like her periods and her menstrual cycle and everything, and they were tired of changing the sheets, and she was tired, and she was like trying to really conceive a child, so now and she like never could. So the whole legend is that she is there to take the children that do it so that she can have a child of her own.
Wait.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's where the whole legend stemmed from. Yeah, so like, and she was like jealous because her sister was able to have children just fine, but she wasn't, and she was like the queen, so she was just like, well, I need to like have an heir to my throne, but she never could. And there were also instances where she lied about like being pregnant and everything, and that's where the legend comes from.
That's insane though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen Dead Silence, where it's like about Mary Shaw, and which is crazy considering her name is Mary, and she couldn't have children, so she had like 1,000,001 like ventriloquist dolls that she would have essentially as kids. And something happened where she dies in the movie.
That reminds me of this like one real life case in Russia. There was this guy, his name is Anatoly Moscovin, and he grave robbed little girls' corpses and like dressed them up and everything, and he dolls. He made like dolls out of them.
But one of them, a couple of them, I think how he got caught was one was not grave robbed, one was like a fresh, like he killed her.
And the whole reason he started it was because when he was little, he went to this funeral of this little girl, and there was this like tradition where like mothers would marry off their daughters after they died so that they wouldn't be alone in the afterlife. And so Anatoly was told to kiss this dead girl. So he did, and he said that this little girl showed up in his dreams, and the only way that he could stop it was grave robbing these corpses and filling them with whatever he filled them with. And he also like would put like the little jingle bells in them so that like when he shook them and like hugged them, it would like imitate
there was an episode I think
like it would imitate like them talking back to her. There was talking back to him. Sorry.
No, there was an episode I think of HBO's Autopsy. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yeah, I do.
But
Dr. G?
No. This is Dr. Michael Baden, and he would talk about like famous cases. He did so many autopsies throughout his career. He did Sid Vicious and his mother. He did like Nancy Spungen.
Sid Vicious and his mother. What happened with them two?
You don't Sid and Nancy?
Yeah.
You know that story?
No.
Okay, that is a great
And
episode.
isn't he from a band?
Yeah, he's from the Sex Pistols.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
It's a whole.
Was he the vocalist?
No, he was a guitar player
Okay,
or bass
okay,
player.
yeah, okay.
One of them.
I didn't even fucking know.
We will get into that another day. That is a lot, and it's like, yeah, it's like, did he murder his girlfriend or did he not? He doesn't.
Ooh, I love a good will they won't they.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
But anyhow, he talked about that case, and didn't that guy get caught too? Because like when they went to his house and like in the vacuum cleaner there was, like pieces of body stuff,
and also just like also he like preserved the corpses so shittily that like you could literally tell that they were dead little children, like dead little girls.
Yeah, all the makeup in the world.
Yeah, like like
that just reminded me of another. You know who I'm talking about?
Carl Tanzler.
Yeah. Van Kossel. Yeah, that's another day too. Okay. God damn it! There's so many.
Yeah, you guys are good.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that we're gonna teach you.
A lot of weird ass grave robbers, definitely.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, Chris be like, I'm having really bad dreams lately.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might want to go buy a new shovel.
Hopefully we
Like
don't manifest anything for you.
He has to wear like big soundproof like headphones so he doesn't hear what we're actually talking about.
He has to sleep with a rosary every night.
Yeah, I'm like, please.
Well, let's see. Well, tonight we thought we would, tell you guys a story about one of the most famous hauntings in America. Tonight we are going to talk about the Myrtles Plantation.
Oh yeah.
So
This-
I've never heard.
You've never heard this story?
Never heard of it.
This, I want to go so bad to this place. Like
We should do a revisited episode
we should.
where we actually go there.
It's in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there voodoo involved?
Actually, they're a little bit,
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Implied, maybe.
but I was going to say, Piper, why don't you give us the rundown on the history of the house?
Yep.
And yeah, go. Take it away.
Right. So, Myrtles Plantation is a 600-acre plantation located in St. Francisville, Louisiana. St. Francisville is right next to Louisiana's capital, Baton Rouge, which, side note, a lot of serial killers have come out of Baton Rouge, and we will definitely get to them. This particular plantation was an antebellum plantation, meaning it was a pre-Civil War plantation. So it was operated by slaves before the Civil War. That's where the word antebellum comes from. It is situated on a hill, and the architecture is that of a Creole cottage, which was a common architectural choice in Louisiana at the time. Myrtles Plantation was built in 1796 by General David Bradford and was originally named Laurel Grove. With his family, Bradford lived there for several years before then President John Adams pardoned him for his role in the Pennsylvania Whiskey Rebellion, which took place in 1799. During the rebellion, former President Washington was set on executing Bradford, so he moved himself and his family to another plantation in Pennsylvania to hide. Bradford passed away due to yellow fever in 1807 or 1808, depending on the source. His widowed wife, Elizabeth, took over the role of managing the plantation before handing over the role to Clark Woodruff in 1817. Woodruff was one of Bradford's former law students, and Clark married Bradford's daughter, Sarah Mathilda. Together, they had 3 children named Africa Gale, James, and Mary Octavia. I love those names.
Interesting.
Unfortunately...
That was before, like, Thatcher.
Yeah.
Braden, Jaden.
The name of kid's Phoenix now.
Yeah. All the...
Right.
The dins.
And this was like back in the time, and this was back in the time where like every third person was named like John or fucking like Elizabeth
there
or
was, like,
something.
3
Yeah.
names.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Yeah. So honestly, awesome names for the time period.
Yeah. Sure.
Unfortunately, however, yellow fever struck the family again, and in 1823 and 1824, Sarah, Africa Gale, and James died from it. Elizabeth Bradford died in 1831, and this prompted Clark and Mary to move to Covington, Louisiana. They left Laurel Grove behind and to an old caretaker in 1834, and Woodruff sold the plantation, land, and slaves to Ruffin Gray Sterling, which is also another awesome name for the time. Yeah, Ruffin. Ruffin.
I love Ruffles. Sour cream and cheddar.
Those are
Bangers.
some banger
Bangers.
chips.
Yeah.
What, like when we're at work and I'm
Want a sour
hungry
cream and onion
and I don't want to
broth?
walk all the way to ShopRite, I go get those.
Ruffles?
I go get the Ruffles from the shelf.
You get Ruffles from Ruffin.
Yeah.
They're worth the $2.
Now, is he guilty in this story? Is Ruffin like is he guilty?
Not of anything,
Okay.
no.
Because he sounds like a nice guy.
He's roughing it.
He's roughing.
He's
He's
vibing.
not enough to worry about. He's roughing.
Exactly. Sterling and his wife, Mary Catherine Cobb, decided to remodel the home extensively. This included doubling the size of the house and importing furniture from Europe. Originally, the house had 6 bays, and during their remodeling and renovation stage, it was upgraded to 9.
Oh wow.
So it definitely doubled the size. So during these renovations is also where it got its current namesake, where Laurel Grove was now named Myrtles Plantation after the copious amounts of crepe myrtles trees that grew on the land. Sterling had passed away in 1854, leaving Myrtles Plantation to his wife. Though it was ransacked and robbed, the plantation outlived the American Civil War. In 1865, Mary Catherine Cobb hired William Drew Winter as a lawyer and an agent. Winter was the husband to Sterling's daughter, Sarah, with an H. The other Sarah was S-A-R-A.
Sarah Matilda?
Yes. And they had 6 children together. Kate, which was one of the children, died of typhoid at just 3 years old. Yeah. Not a fun time to live in, because you got an illness, you like scraped your finger on something, and
And you got cooked.
the Grim Reaper was like,
Yep.
it's time to go, bitch.
So, he was probably puffing and puffing. He was probably so busy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Christ.
He's like, oh, God,
As
this
soon
is
as he
the
goes-
5th 3-year-old this week.
Every time he goes to sit, someone else gets typhoid. It's like, oh, these mother.
he gets like a little, like, he has like a little phone on the
Yeah.
nightstand table next to like the recliner chair, and he's like, you again, buddy.
He's a
Yeah.
yeah.
You shit.
Can I get 10 fucking minutes?
Yeah.
Peace.
What's the game?
Like, this family again? Give it a rest, man.
Well, I was like, next time I go, I'm just getting them all. I'm
Yeah,
just getting them all. 'Cause it's too much. It's too much.
He's like, even if it's not your time, I'm fucking dragging you with me, bitch.
I will not be coming back
His
here.
phone idea was terrible. I don't know why I signed up for this.
Oh, yeah.
Vonage. Vonage.
Oh my god.
Due to it being wrapped within the Confederate currency, the family fortune was also lost in the aftermath of the Civil War, because they had regulations. They didn't want anything to do with the Confederacy after the war. They wanted to be like very like hush hush about it, because this is also still in the time period where America was very isolationist about things. So they wanted to literally not have anything bad about America being out. So when the Confederacy was defeated, they were like, all right, any family fortune tied with it, sorry, government's taking it. Like, anything to do with it.
I love that.
You're out.
I love
Bye.
when they take my money.
So this forced the Winters to sell the plantation in 1868, but they were able to purchase it back within 2 years after the fact. To add to the deaths on the plantation, in 1871, William Winter was murdered on the porch of the house. The suspect is hypothesized to be a man named E.S. Weber, and that is a double B in there. Sarah, with an H, remained at the plantation with her mother and siblings until 1878, where she ultimately died. Mary Cobb Sterling outlived her daughter, unfortunately, and died in 1880. Cobb Sterling's death prompted the plantation's management to be passed to her son, Stephen, but the plantation was in major debt, so he sold it to Orrin D. Brooks in 1886. Brooks sold the plantation in 1889, and the plantation's ownership jumped ship multiple times until it landed into the hands of Harrison Milton Williams in 1891. In the early 20th century, the land surrounding the house was divided amongst the Milton Williams heirs, and in the 1950s, the house itself was sold to Marjorie Munson. In the 1970s, it went through many more ownership changes before it was purchased by James and Frances Kermeen Myers, who turned the plantation into a bed and breakfast. The current owners, John and Tita Moss, opened up the home for tours and overnight guests. In August 2014, a fire broke out in the historic general store, which was located just 10 feet away from the main house. Unfortunately, this caused substantial damage. Fortunately, though, nothing original in the architecture was ruined in the blaze, since most of the burned section was from a 2008 addition onto the house. This left most of the original structure intact and away from harm.
I have a question. So, was it until they opened up the bed and breakfast that people started reporting sightings of stuff? What do you think? Like, where does the let's say the haunting stem from? Like, who would you say is responsible? Who's the ghost? Who are the ghosts?
Well, Marjorie Munson, when she was owning the house, she was the first one to report things going on. So around like 1950s, that's when the crazy shit started.
Now, would you assume that it's William Winter, perhaps?
Probably. He might be a vengeful spirit. Like what the fuck? Like, I got killed and no one was held responsible for it. Like, so I'm gonna haunt your ass.
What was his place in the world? Like, who was he?
I'm not entirely sure. I really couldn't find much information about him, other than he was hired by Mary Catherine Cobb to be the lawyer and the agent for the property.
You think someone wanted that property?
Most likely, especially with all the ownership changes it went through. Yeah. There was definitely some fights about it. Imagine
a ghost lawyer. Yeah. That's dark.
My sources are the Wikipedia page for Myrtles Plantation and the Louisiana Anthology Encyclopedia of Myrtles Plantation.
Oh my goodness. So I didn't know any of that about the house. I didn't know when it was built or anything. So I find all that stuff super interesting. So we will talk about now some of the hauntings that go on there. So
getting into the meat and potatoes of everything.
Yeah, we're gonna get into all the fun stuff.
Nice.
So when the Myers family purchased the home in the 70s, that's when the paranormal activity became a lot more noticeable. There was there were sightings of a young woman wearing a green turban, and it was seen by a lot of visitors of the plantation. And even the Meyer family, they saw it too. So they were taking photos for insurance purposes for floods and hurricanes and all that stuff, because New Orleans gets the shit beat out of them all the time. And this was in 1992, and then after they developed the film, they saw that there was a figure of a woman standing in the front yard. And
is that the one picture I saw where she's hiding between the two walls?
It's between a house and something. It's a very famous photo. I will actually be putting it on our Instagram at Coffee and Scream Pod.
I've never gotten much chills from seeing a picture of a ghost.
That one is
one I feel because it's so visible that.
And this was in 1992. They didn't have maybe they did have technology to fake things, but it was it wouldn't be as good, obviously. And it's definitely someone standing there,
exactly.
In between us, and it's
because the figure is so prominent that I feel it's hard to fake that.
Some creepy ass shit.
Right.
And can you explain the photo a little bit in depth?
It's black and white, and you only see half of the silhouette. You see it's a full,
a half translucent, a half you can kind of see the light through.
It's kind of solid.
I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Yeah, describe what you see for the audio.
I will.
I love a good ghost photo.
I knew you would.
I like that red
there is a lot.
Where to look.
Come a little bit closer there, bud. See right here? See, there's the front porch and everything, and in between the house, there is definitely a figure of a woman, and you can tell she is wearing something on her head, and she's wearing
like a bonnet, probably.
It's like she would wear like a green turban, and I'll get into like the rumors with that. You could tell she has like a long skirt on.
That's great. And I told you I love the red circles.
I
love a good red circle.
It tells you exactly where it is.
Whoever invented the red circle, it tells you exactly where to look to see what you want to see.
I'm looking at other pictures now too, and I'm like, I don't. Some of these I don't know. Like that. That's probably not real.
Yeah,
this
looks
one.
like it looks like he's in Candlebox or some kind of. He looks like he's in Pearl Jam.
I don't know if that one's real too. I'm gonna have to look into this one. I found like a really.
These are all from the Myrtle.
Yeah, Myrtles Plantation.
Myrtles Plantation.
So I'm gonna have to look and verify some of those, but pretty spooky stuff.
And this first one was based on that photo, the woman stepping on the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one I showed you was taken in 1992. Like they were taking pictures for insurance, just because they wanted to get the place insured and all that stuff. Because, just God forbid, hurricane came through.
And it's a beautiful place that you want to preserve
and it's part of history. They wanted to preserve it.
Right.
So they took those pictures. They didn't see anything at all when they initially took the pictures. And then after they had the film developed, they noticed her standing there. And like, imagine the chills.
They were miles away. Like, I'd be like...
Which I feel like is like, it validates that picture even more. Because, like, it's difficult to fake something even after development. Like it's because it was back then when they're like fucking like letting it marinate in water and shit and all this like chemicals and like.
And was that one of those like yellow Kodak disposables you'd get at Rite Aid?
I'm sure it wasn't a great camera. Like no one noticed it until it was developed. Like the owners verified.
I can't imagine the shit
nobody else was present when that photo was taken. It was just them. They had to just take pictures for insurance and that was it. So it's just
horrifying.
Bananas, yeah. And then, so like the plantation itself is rumored to be buried on is rumored to be built on an ancient burial ground. And like there have been apparitions of young indigenous women on the property and all that. So it's
which also is like something that I feel like is valid too, because like historically America has a giant fucking track record of stealing land from indigenous people.
But I'll tell you what, it does not help the ghosts.
Oh yeah.
No, I'd be pretty angry too.
You know, and it's been a huge game of leapfrog. A lot of humans.
Like my grandparents' neighborhood is built on like a cemetery.
You ever see Pet?
Yep.
Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
Pet Cemetery.
Poltergeist.
Oh,
and number 2, the stepdad is Mr.
They only
Krabs.
moved the headstones.
What did you say the guy's name? Herman Munster? What's his name again? Herman Munster?
Fred Gwynn?
Fred Gwynn. He's in the first one.
Poltergeist?
No, of Pet Cemetery. He's like,
He's like,
oh, don't go over there. And then shows them and then brings them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The ground is sour.
Yeah, exactly. Fred Gwynn, oh my god, I think you just channeled Fred Gwynn.
I did.
Because he's in the afterlife.
I did. For sure.
He might be in this room.
Yeah, he might be. I'm sitting on his lap.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh, Herman. Stop it. All right. Okay, enough. All right, so the rumors. Let's get into some of the rumors on why this particular ghost may be there. Now, let's see. Piper mentioned that Sarah, is it Mathilda or Matilda? Is the H silent?
I looked up how to pronounce it from like one of those pronunciation videos. One of the videos said Mathilda, the other one said Matilda. So
let's just call her Sarah.
Whatever.
Let's call her Sarah.
Sarah without the H.
Sure. Yeah.
Sarah,
so Sarah and 2 of her kids, they died of yellow fever, as Piper, just told us. And there was a rumor though that they were actually poisoned by a young slave named Chloe.
Oh, Chloe. There's a lot to say about her.
There's a lot to say about Miss Chloe. She is definitely the most infamous spirit of
She's kind of a girl boss, honestly.
You know what? She's like I'm going to be seen. She's like, if any of the stuff that I'm about to say is true, then fucking good on her.
Literally.
All right. So Chloe, let's see, the reasoning that she maybe quote unquote poisoned the missus and the 2 children is that the husband, Clark, began pushing himself on her. He was forcing himself on her, and if she didn't oblige or go along with it, the punishment would definitely be worse because, come on. Yeah. So, and then another rumor was that she was caught eavesdropping on Chloe and Sarah, and as punishment, they cut off one of her ears. and that is
God, Chloe?
yeah, Chloe. Like she was like leaning up against like the door frame or whatever. She was like trying to peek through and listening to their like private affairs or whatever. And when she was caught, they cut off one of her ears as punishment. And that is why she is said to be wearing the...
Side note, there's like one like slave owner lady who like we should do an episode on. Like she...
Is it Madame Lalaurie?
Yeah. Like literally
Guys.
like literally tortured the shit out of her like slaves. Like
Yes.
had them like locked up in the attic and everything.
That
like,
is... Yeah, well, she was depicted in American Horror Story Season 3.
Yep.
By Kathy Bates.
Oh, one Kathy Bates.
Yes.
Kathy
She-
Bates.
Love her.
Queen.
So that's why Chloe is said to be wearing that green turban all the time. She's trying to hide her ear. Mm-hmm. And they said that Chloe, part of her plan actually was to poison the family and get, nurse them back to health.
Yeah.
So that way, she would become, back in their good graces and, she would be seen as, valuable again to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there is also a large antique mirror that hangs in the grand hallway. And visitors of the plantation have said that, like, if you stand in the mirror, like, you could see the reflection of the Woodruff children in the mirror. And, like, they're standing near the room where they were poisoned, which I assume is, like, a dining room, like, behind them. And they said, like, no matter how often that mirror is cleaned or resilvered or any of that, there is a handprint that is on that mirror that will not go away, or it goes away and it comes back. Like
That mirror is so ornate, by the way.
Yeah.
So fucking beautiful.
And they also say, like, if you're on the grounds and you're looking up at the building or the house, you can see children looking at you through the windows. Like, it's crazy. Chloe can be seen standing over guests as they're sleeping in their beds. And she's, like, they say that she's also most active at nighttime. Like, she's, zooming about.
Christ.
The house is now a bed and breakfast, so you can stay there. They do ghost tours, too, I'm sure. I would love to go there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one of the reasons why I keep telling my sister, like, we're trying to plan, like, another trip. And I was like, well, let's go to New Orleans, Part of my reasoning is I want to go to Myrtles Plantation.
Just to be around, all that. I know they celebrate the dead a lot there, too.
They do, yeah.
Culturally,
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
They're a New Orleans funeral, like, they, like, celebrate with, like, it's...
Like New Orleans has, like, crazy history of crime. Like, the Axemen of New Orleans, like, play jazz or I'll cut you. Like,
Yep.
like...
That sounds like me.
These women were, like, blaring jazz music at all hours of night, so that way, if they weren't, then the Axemen would come in and kill them.
There was actually, like, a whole jazz song called Don't Scare Me, Papa. That's about him.
Is that like the street music? Is that what
I don't
started
know. I'm not entirely sure, but that story is also portrayed in American Horror Story Season 3.
We definitely need to do an episode on that, too.
Like, it is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like a concept I would have never considered. Like, if you stop playing, it's curtains.
Yeah, so
That's a freaky rationale.
like girls or not girls, just like people would just put the record player on, they'd be playing jazz.
Well, his motif was like Italian immigrants. Like, people think that he was xenophobic towards Italians because there was a lot of animosity towards Italians at the time because it was 1930s mob culture. And
it's really interesting. Like, through the decades, people's rationale changes.
And the Axeman, one day he was a heavy hitter, and one day he was just gone. So no one actually really knows.
Really?
And there's actually a rumor that he may have been responsible for the Vasilla axe murders.
Oh yeah.
In Iowa.
Oh yeah.
Which you don't know about those, right?
Is that an isolated incident?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a
whole. Wasn't found either?
Like, whole family was like axe murdered in their sleep. You can still go to the
Vasilla axe murder house. And
the Vasilla Axe Murder House is also a bed and breakfast too, right?
I believe it is. It's this. That's a story again for another day. I know we say this a lot, but we're just getting started.
And Lizzie Borden with the axe
we'll
too.
Have a lot to say about a lot of cases.
There's a lot of murderers with axes, like Lizzie Borden.
She has a hatchet.
Yeah, but the nursery rhyme says took an axe.
Yeah. But Myrtles Plantation, it was host of many episodes of many different ghost shows. I know Ghost Hunters went there, Ghost Adventures went there. No telling if Zach Baggins got possessed. We don't know yet.
We definitely know he was wearing an Affliction t-shirt.
False info.
Yeah.
Disinfo.
But I remember watching the Ghost Hunters episode, and there was definitely shit going on. It was Yeah, it was a good time. And Unsolved Mysteries actually did an episode there, and Robert Stack claimed that the crew had many technical difficulties while trying to film the episode.
Really?
Yes, like things were just going awry. It is known as one of America's most haunted homes, and it is said that as many as 12 ghosts haunt the grounds. I could not find a lot of information on that. Mostly it's just about Chloe and the Woodruff children.
They got one more, and then Matthew Lillard's gonna show up.
Oh,
I picture them like in the Haunted Mansion like section of the ride at Disney when they're dancing in the ballroom, like dancing in the house like that, like.
Yeah, but while it's reported as being the location of 10 murders, the only murder to be officially recognized is that of William Winter. Good old what do you call him?
Right?
It was
Not like rough.
William Drew
Ruffin?
Winter, and the guy who was hypothesized to kill him was E.S. Weber.
Yes, well,
E.S. Weber, 2 B's.
well, William Winter, he only lived at the house from 1865 to 1871, and he was shot on the front porch, which today, like, they still say that once in a while guests will see a blood streak from the front door going towards the stairs.
That's metal as fuck.
Yeah. And then the story about, him after he was shot, he staggered into the house and he started climbing the stairs where he died on the 17th step. So there are guests and many people have reported that you'll hear footsteps and that only makes it to the 17th step. And yeah, it's so creepy.
I love a good haunted staircase. Like Exorcists, for instance.
Yeah.
Because imagine
make stairs scary. Like that's how you know.
No, but it's like,
like-
imagine like doom, 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 and like laying in bed and be like counting and be like, fuck, please don't want to be him.
two,
Please
There
don't
was
want to
like
be him.
there was
3.
a horror story.
Yeah, it's so scary.
There was a horror story I read called The Basement, and it was about this kid who's home alone, right? He's in the basement. He says out of nowhere he hears the upstairs door into the basement just slowly slide open, and he calls for mom, figuring she's home early, and he says he hears a step, and he says like, it's like choking me up because it's horrifying. He says he felt like he was waiting forever for the next step.
Yeah.
But he said like it had to have been every 20 to 30 minutes it would take another step.
What?
It had this really delayed way of coming down the stairs, but it's a crazy twist ending. It actually
Is it a creepypasta or is it a true story?
Why do you ask this question? It still spooked the shit out of me.
Okay.
It was creepypasta.
Creepypasta writes 2023.
It's a great little story.
Send me.
But, yeah, but what I'll say is, I won't even spoil it.
I was a
'Cause I'll tell
Jeff
you what,
the
what was on
Killer
the stairs?
fan.
What was on the stairs?
Yeah.
That's not what you should be worried about.
Jesus.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa.
I'll read it.
right.
I will read it.
But the Myrtle Beach House, what was it?
Myrtle Plantation.
Myrtle Plantation.
Yes.
It's not a beach house.
Oh, yeah,
It
right.
is it is in New Orleans, and I think I'm sure there's a lot more ghost things, about it. This is just what I could find.
And the 17th step thing, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Like, do people do that? Like, do they count it when they walk it?
I'm sure
Is
they
that kind
do.
of like a cultural thing?
I'm sure they do.
It's like a 1, 2, 3.
Like,
4.
how many people probably have their picture taken on that 17th step?
Yeah, probably.
You're, like sitting on it.
Like, there's pictures of people, they take selfies, like, in the mirror to see if, like, they can see the spirit of the Woodruff children, and
honestly, like, that guy's probably watching them do that shit. Like, you fucking mocking me?
or, like, they got it wrong. It was actually the 16th step. Dicks.
Yeah, nice try.
I made it. I made it all the way.
Yeah.
He's like 17th step.
You fool.
I was all the way.
Yeah. So that is the story of the Myrtle Plantation and their many hauntings. My sources were Wikipedia and nolaghost.com.
Ooh.
So you can check those out if you want to read more about it. There's so many episodes of different shows about it. It's definitely, something to see. And I want to go see it in person. So maybe one day.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any recent encounters?
That I don't
like
know.
The last couple years.
I do not
I'll
know.
have to find that out. Maybe we'll do a follow up.
Yeah, but
We
don't
should.
forget to follow us on Coffee and Scream Pod on
yeah.
Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe. And also, do not forget to check out our producer's very own show, Wonder Time Theater. It
Yes.
is Tuesdays at 8 o'clock on Twitch.
Thank you. Hey.
I've seen so many episodes, and
Oh, me
he
too.
is a wonderful, artistically awesome host.
Thank you.
He is.
Appreciate it.
He is a very charismatic fella, and we
Yes.
love him.
And I also have some This Day in History for us.
Oh,
yes,
please
yes.
do.
So I have two.
Okay.
I was on the website and I was just like, holy fucking shit, so many things happen. Like, it's Johnny Depp and Natalie Portman's
Yes,
birthdays today.
yes.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Professional.
birthday.
If you guys are listening, which I doubt you are, but
No, they are. They are.
It's Crybaby's birthday.
Love
oh
Crybaby.
yeah.
Hatchet face.
Yes, I love her too.
So the first one is Charles Dickens. Was an English writer who is generally considered to be the greatest Victorian novelist. Thought this was fitting because a lot of this took place during the Victorian era. He died at Gad's Hill near Chatham, Kent in 1870. Also in 1692, the first, quote, witch was hung in the Salem witch trials. She was found guilty of certain detestable acts called witchcraft and sorceries, and that is
Ooh.
word for word what they convicted her of. Her name was Bridget Bishop, and she was just hung for that.
That's insane. And was that like, I mean, I don't know about nowadays, but is that even a law now?
No,
No,
it really can't be.
I guess it depends where you live. Like if you live in different countries,
Because nowadays with all the laws and shit, that would be considered a hate crime.
Piper and I would definitely be considered witches if that was the case.
I actually have a custom shirt that says I would have been diagnosed with female hysteria a century ago.
For sure.
my favorite kind of hysteria is female hysteria.
Yeah, it happens, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just
I love Def Leppard.
okay. Okay, well, that was this week's episode of the Coffee and Scream podcast. Don't forget to lock your doors. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.